Mother and father wounds. I'd like to really just prepare you for this weekend's webinar because there's so much deep work to be done with mother and father wounds, and it's coming up very strong. So I just like you to, or invite you to do a little, reflection, self-reflection over the next few days and really go back to your childhood and observe how your mother was behaving. Observe how your father was behaving. How was the household for you as a child? Did you feel safe? Did you feel protected? Did you feel nourished? Did you feel seen? Did you feel loved, appreciated? And a lot of the time we can block it and say, yes, mommy was great, daddy was great. And we won't look at this, but really deep down, were you safe in the house? Were you nourished in that house? Were you protected in that house? Were you seen? So all these realizations are important to bring up into your conscious level, because if we cannot see that we were not safe, that we were not maybe we're emotionally starved, we will then live that in our relationships and in our lives. Were we walking on eggshells? Was it safe to speak? Was your mother passive in a way that she allowed the father, or she stayed quiet for the father, or put him too far in front and she stepped back with her abilities and powers? So all these things are very important to bring up to a conscious level of how was the behavior in your household. And then you can go deeper. How was it for your grandparents, your parents' relationship and childhood with grandparents? This is very significant in the system, great grandparents. And just simply, I didn't know, for example, a lot of my ancestral information. And when I opened up and said, okay, I'm open to reflect on it, an uncle came and he told me everything without me even asking. So this happens a lot with people I work with, that once we bring awareness to a field, the ancestors they want to share the topics. They want to share the behavior patterns. They want us to know, because if we resolve it, they resolve it. And then the future children resolve it too. So before this webinar, it's going to be 4 webinars, and I'm going to go very deep into mother and father wounds, which affect so much of our lives and the way we feel about ourselves, the way we feel about life. Do we have a place, very low self-confidence if the mother was over us or telling us we were not good enough, or daily hearing we're not enough, or somebody else is better than us, or I'm a failure. All these things really, really hit our system and affect the way we live our lives and our businesses and our finances. Was our father protecting us? Did our father acknowledge us? Were our talents acknowledged by our father and mother? What was happening with siblings? All these questions are very important to simply bring your awareness to, and to know what was going on in your childhood. And a lot of us, when there's a lot of trauma in the system, we don't remember our childhood. I know I didn't remember any of my childhood until I start looking deeper into the system. And the body will give the information. The cellular information is within you. So, for example, if there's an abuse in the system and then I bring up the abuse energies, you'll feel a resonance with it. So the mind may play games, but the resonance is key for me. So this will be 4 webinars, and it will really go very deeply into the subconsciousness and the cellular information and the ancestral line, the genetics, to help you resolve what's in your system. So you stop trying to maybe look for approval, or stop blaming mom, because actually you don't want the hatred from your dad or the anger from your dad. You can't accept it. So you put it on your mom, or you put it on your dad. So often I find when working with people that they put a lot of things, for example, on mom, because they're still waiting for the approval from dad. Dad was strict, dad was aggressive. And then we put it on mom, because deep down, our inner child's looking for that acknowledgement and love from dad, even if he was aggressive and abusive in the system. Or I cannot see that he did not protect me. I don't want to see, I don't want to hear, I don't want to feel. All these patterns are important to address for living a full, rich life and for allowing your power, and also for setting up strong boundaries in your system, in your life system. So, could you speak? Can you speak? Is it safe to speak? Is it safe to speak outside the household? Often in the household, there's secrets, and then we don't want those secrets getting out onto the street. What will the neighbors think? I feel responsible because mom and dad broke up or are not happy or they're arguing. It's my fault. So I'm ashamed. A lot of shame. I don't want to tell anyone outside that my parents are not perfect. A lot of shame. I'm inadequate. I'm not enough. I'm invisible. Safer to be invisible. Safer to disconnect. Safer not to come into life. I don't have a place in life. I don't fit into life. I don't want to be here. Regrets. All these are mother and father wounds, no supports in my system. Attracting abuse, lies in the system, theft in the system, stealing in the system. These are all anger, resentment, betrayal, fury, rage. These are all keys that can be in your system from your parents or from your ancestors. So in this webinar, I'd like to really reflect and bring them up in the system and transform them for good. So you feel fresh and you feel alive again. And the guilt is released, the shame is released, the resentment is released, the self-sabotage is released, the ancestral pain, the ancestral denial, the ancestral resentment, the ancestral anger and fear, rage. All these topics are deep within our genetics, and we can clear them all and we can change the entire system. So the field at the moment is bringing them up naturally. That's why this topic comes in as all the topics for all the webinars. All the webinars are stepping stones and they're giving you different keys, living webinars, I call them living recordings, then after. So you can drop into them at any time. So if you can't make it the weekend, you can drop into this webinar at any stage. And at your convenience, you can drop in and it will match you where you're at because it's in the quantum field. And the results will get deeper and deeper with time. And you will feel it. You will feel more space. You'll feel more empty. You will feel like you're not running from something. If were your parents fragmented, were they dissociated, were they emotionally detached, all these reflections are really important to bring up on a conscious level because you can change the whole system, that you can be loved, nourished, safe, protected, have boundaries, speak your truth, hear the truth, feel the truth, and be supported by your ancestors. So I'm looking forward to seeing you at the webinar. This resonates with you and this is something you'd like to go deeper with. And clear the ancestral pain, clear the ancestral trauma from your system for good. So I invite you to enjoy having this exercise of self-reflection over the next days before the webinar, and then we'll go much deeper into the system. And this will help you feel more safe, more embodied, more comfortable in life, more open to opportunities, not holding you back, financial support, finances, nourishment, because it's about nourishment, finances. So nourishment will come in, abundance will come in, safety will come in, and fertility. Perfectionist, are you a perfectionist? Because there was a strict mother in the system or a criticizing mom in the system. All these topics we're going to address in the webinar, and I invite you to bring them up before the webinar. Have a beautiful day and enjoy doing this exercise. Thank you for your support.